Technic, 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 and Technic. And through this door right here, Technic. So as you can see, I've been doing some Technic building over the Thanksgiving break. This Daytona SP3 Ultimate Collector Series car came out amazing, but it got me thinking about, should we be investing in Lego Technic? And I'm gonna attempt to answer that question in this video here and give my opinion on if you should be investing in Lego Technic or not. Stick around to the very end though, because I am going to give you 3 key takeaways that I believe will be really helpful for you in your Lego investing if you are considering Technic. So first, let's talk about the 3 different categories in Lego Technic that I see that you can invest in. The first category that I see would be your UCS, your Ultimate Collector Series supercars. Those would be your Lego Ferrari Daytona SP3, your Bugatti Chiron, your Lamborghini, your Porsche 911. Those are collector item vehicles, and I kind of see them as a standalone category in Technic. The second category, which is a big part of Lego Technic, is your construction vehicle category. And then your third category would be your kind of miscellaneous vehicles, your one-offs, your monster trucks, your cars, your planes, your boats, your helicopters, that sort of vehicle. We're going to look at each one of those 3 categories because obviously everything comes back to the numbers, so we need to know how they've been performing in the past to get a better idea of future success. So we're going to look at those 3 categories, and that'll help us narrow down if any of those 3 categories are performing well, and if so, which ones should you be looking at. So the first category I want to look at is like the miscellaneous vehicles, the cars, planes, trucks, helicopters, that sort of thing. I went back to all the sets that retired in Lego Technic in 2021, so about 1 year ago, and I picked out a few of the vehicles that I thought if I were going to invest in some, these would probably be the ones that I would invest in. And I wanted to show you some of the data on these. So the first set is the Top Gear Rally Car, remote controlled. It's set number 42109. This set originally retailed for $130. On eBay, it's selling for between $155 to $200. That's about a 35% increase. So basically, if you were to sell it at one of these prices right now, if you bought it at full retail price, you're probably not making much money, if any. You might even be losing some money. I would typically think that that would probably do better because it's more of a one-off Lego Technic and it's got some collectability to it, but it didn't do very well, at least in the first year. But let's look at a second one. So the second one I picked out is a smaller set. It's the Stunt Show Truck and Bike. That's set number 42106. That one originally retailed for $50, and it's only selling on eBay for $50 up to $60. So basically the exact same price it was selling for a year ago after it left the shelves. That is not a good sign, especially for the smaller Lego Technic sets. I wanted to go one further though, just to make sure I was getting a clear picture of 2021. So I picked out the Catamaran, that's set number 42105. That one was also selling for $50 when it was on the shelves. That one is also only selling for $50 to $60 on eBay. So again, if you're selling this or the Stunt Show Truck and Bike, you're losing money on those sets right now. So you're not doing well if you invested in either of those sets. So that's not a good sign for other vehicles in Lego Technic just from a year ago. But let's go back even further. Let's go 3 years back just so that make sure we're getting the full picture of kind of the miscellaneous vehicle category in Lego Technic. So I went back to 2019, about 3 years ago. How are those sets doing as far as investing? And here's what I found. So the first vehicle I looked at, which I actually never even heard of this set, but it's called Whack exclamation point. It's set number 42072. Kind of an unusual name. That was selling and retailing for $20 when it was on the shelves. It is only selling for $30 3 years later. So again, it's got a 50% increase, but that's only after 3 years. So not liking those numbers at all. The next set I picked out was First Responder. This is a little bit of a bigger set that retired that year. The First Responder set retailed for $50, is selling between $65 and $80. So also again, a 50% increase. Still not good though. We have a smaller set in the Whack set. We have a bigger set in the First Responder set. Both not doing very well. And if you were to sell either of these, you're not making much money at all if you bought it at retail cost. So That is your other vehicle category. But before we get into writing Technic off completely, let's look at the other two categories first. So the Lego Liebherr R9800 excavator, I did invest in one of these back at the end, I think it was of last year. So let's talk Lego construction vehicles and if those are a good investment. So again, I ran some numbers on the Lego Technic construction vehicle category, and here's what I came up with. So looking at Lego construction for sets that retired last year, 2021. The first set I wanted to look at was this one right here that I just showed you, the Liebherr R9800, obviously because I invested in one of those myself. That set was retailing for $450 when it was on the shelves. That is selling for between $650 to $700 on the aftermarket now, which is only a 45% increase. That is better than some of the other construction vehicles that we've seen. So I'm happy to see that, but 45% after 1 year is still not great. I think that this one will still grow. I have confidence in this one, and I like it because it's a bigger set. It's a more collectible set, and it's harder to get your hands on than some of the other previous sets that we've talked about, which are more widely available. However, still not overly happy with 45% as far as the increase goes. The next one I looked at, which I did not invest in, that retired at the end of 2021, was the concrete mixer truck. This is set number 42112. This one retailed for $120 and is selling on eBay now for $150 to $175. That's only a 34% increase. So that's even worse than the Liebherr excavator. Not good. Still not liking the numbers that I'm seeing here. So let's go back 3 years. Let's go back to 2019 like we did with the other vehicles. I picked out a couple key sets again for the 2019 retiring sets to kind of give me some indication on how things were doing as far as reselling goes. The first one I picked out was the Forest Machine. This is a bigger set. Set number 42080. Retailed for $150 on the shelves. Selling for $160 to $185. That is not good. 17% increase after 3 years. You're losing money on that if you invested in it. So that's a red flag right there, first off. Second one I picked out was the Mac Anthem. Again, a bigger set. $180 is what it retailed for in 2019. That one is selling for $350 to $400. So that one is a 109% increase. So that one is more promising. But let's look at the last category. Let's look at the Ultimate Collector Series cars. Let's see how those are doing, and then we can kind of wrap this whole thing up and see exactly where Technic stands. Let me pull one of these off the shelf here, this beautiful set. And this is the Bugatti Chiron. And this is kind of the hot topic this year because this one is most likely going to be retiring. This is an Ultimate Collector Series Technic vehicle. This is something that if you want to get your hands on, you're going to have to do that now because this is most likely leaving the shelf. So I guess the big question is, should you be investing in this specifically, and is this actually going to do well? I'm going to set this down. There isn't a bunch of data on the Lego supercars as of yet because we've only seen one Lego supercar retire at this point, and that is the Porsche 911 GT3 RS set number 42056. That is all the data that we have to go on, but let's look at what that car did. So if we look at that car, it retired at the end of 2018. It was on the shelves for 2.5 years. That has been retired for 4 years, so a little longer than some of the other vehicles that we've looked at so far. That had a retail cost of $300 when it was on the shelves. Right now on eBay, that is selling for between $850 to $1,000, which that is promising and that is good. That is a 200% increase, which is what I would hope for after 4 years of holding it if you are reselling it. If you bought some of those back in 2018, you're doing well on that vehicle. Now with the Bugatti Chiron, that was released in June of 2018. So it was released the year that Porsche 911 left the shelves. The Bugatti Chiron is retailing for $350. So that has been on the shelf for 3.5 years, 1 year longer than the Porsche 911. So it's been out to the public longer, which is something we have to consider. How do I feel the Chiron is going to do? This is just my opinion, and take it as that, my opinion. I think that the Bugatti Chiron will do well over time, but I do not think it's going to do as well as the Porsche 911, and here's why. One, I feel like the fact that the Bugatti Chiron has been more widely available and been on the shelves longer, I feel like it's not going to do as well just because it's had much more time for the public to pick it up. The second reason I feel like the Chiron won't do as well is the fact that there are a lot more Lego collectors into the hobby now than there was back in 2016, 2017, 2018 when the Porsche 911 was available. So I feel like a lot of people have gone back to grab that set that weren't into the hobby at that time. Whereas now they are into the hobby, they had the chance to pick up the Bugatti Chiron at regular price. So I don't feel like the Bugatti is going to shoot up in price like the Porsche 911 did, just for the simple fact that a lot of people have gotten their hands on the set itself. However, like I said, I do feel like it will do well, and this is an investment set. It's hard to say what it will do, but I feel like the Bugatti Chiron will probably jump up to the 450 to 550 range within that first year. And then I think over the 2, 3, 4 year span, it probably will get into the $600 to $800, maybe $900 range. So I think it's going to do well. If I were going to invest in any category in Lego Technic, the Ultimate Collector Car Series is what I would look at investing in. Because again, if you've watched any of my other videos, I like the fact that it's a collector's item. Collectors will pay big money for things that they want. They want to finish out the collection. They're going to have to buy that set from you to finish out that collection. Let's wrap this up though and head back over to the table, because I'm going to give you 3 key takeaways from everything that I'm seeing from these numbers and talking about these different sets that I definitely think you should consider and know before investing into Lego Technic. We've looked at a lot of data, we've looked at a lot of numbers, so let's talk about the 3 key takeaways that I'm seeing from all of that. Number 1, do not buy these Lego Technic sets at regular price. You have to look at the fact that a lot of these sets are not jumping up in value in any major way. Most of them aren't. If you're buying these sets at retail price, most likely you're not making very much money, if any money at all, especially with the sets that we looked at. So you have to look at, especially for the smaller sets, trying to get somewhere between like a 30 to 50% discount, if not more, if you can find it. For the bigger sets, like the UCS sets, try to find something between 20 to 30% off, but you have to get a discount. My second takeaway here is these sets are not jumping up in value overnight. They are taking time to build, if they are building in value at all. 2 to 3 years is what you're going to have to expect to be holding on to these sets, if not more. Especially with like the Porsche 911, it did go up in value pretty quickly, but it's taken some time to continue to build that value to get it to a good point to where you could resell it. So you have to go into it with the long game in mind, like with a lot of other investments, stocks, bonds, or whatever the case it might be. Go into it understanding that I need a good price on it, and that I'm going to be holding on to it and storing it and everything else for a good 2 to 3 or more years, so that I can double my money on this and put my money into something else. And then number 3, probably the most crucial one here, is just to be frank, most Technic sets are not a great investment. If we're looking at the numbers and we're looking at all the data, most of the sets are not performing very well. There are some that are performing well, and there's going to be those one-offs, but in my opinion, I would not focus overly heavily on Technic. Why don't I think Technic is performing very well? I feel like it's just too widely available. We're seeing the widely available themes like City and Friends that are on all the different shelves, Walmart, Target, Barnes & Noble. They're everywhere and everyone can get them. They're typically just not going up in value because everyone can get their hands on them. They're not overly exclusive. They're not a collector's item. So like the Daytona SP3, that's an exclusive Lego set. So this is a collector's item. This is a set that I feel probably will do very well in value when it gets ready to retire. But the basic, just Technic sets that are available to everybody, be very cautious with those, because again, we're seeing most of them are taking a long time to go up in value and are not going up in value very much. So after your storage and your time and your shipping fees and your seller fees, you're just not going to make any money. So there are a lot of other themes that do a lot better, that jump up in value a lot quicker. Consider those most of the time before you're looking at Lego Technic. Don't take your eyes off of Lego Technic in general, because there are going to be sets that are going to do very well. So keep an eye on some of the sets, but be very careful with the ones that you pick out and the ones that you decide to put most of your money in. Let me know if you feel I'm wrong. Tell me if you've done really well with Lego Technic, and if so, what you've done. I'd love to hear that down in the comments below. And that is all I have for this video.